plan your day. The mountains are calling you out to play. Come on, we'll make you feel right at home. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail. Let's see what lies in store for you. There's so many things to see and do. Summer, winter, spring or fall, you're home in the Rockies as it all. So gear up, get ready to plan your day. The ideas are brewing, you're on your way. The fun is waiting outside your door. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail.
Hi, and welcome to Good Day Vail. My name is Cece Zach, and I'm the host of this show. And yes, I am a transplant from the Northeast, but I hope you don't hold that against me. And Good Day Vail was developed with you in mind, and helping you live your best life in the Vail Valley. As we learn from locals about how they thrive in the Valley, we want to bring that information to you so that you too can thrive. So today's episode is about a lifestyle that is actually followed by many different celebrities: Venus Williams, Ariana Grande, Stevie Wonder, Woody Harrelson, Alicia Silverstone, Giselle Bündchen, and her former husband, and many, many, many others. And in actuality, as I was doing research for this show, I read an article from Harvard Medical School that this lifestyle actually reduces the risk of heart disease, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, certain cancers such as colon, breast, prostate, also helps with depression, helps with inflammation and gut health, and also helps reduce the carbon footprint and can create a local economy. So have you guessed it yet? We're actually talking about plant-based eating today. So please stay tuned for this episode of Good Day Vail with Dr. Jennifer Rathbun, chiropractor and plant-based eating expert. Stay tuned.
Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail.
Welcome back to Good Day Vail. And as I mentioned earlier, I have Dr. Jen with me here today to talk about plant-based eating and all of the benefits for all of us. But before we get started with the specific topic, I think it's really important, Jen, for you to help us share with our learners how you ended up here in Vail, because you've been in Colorado for your life. So tell us a little bit how you ended up in Vail and why you're here.
Yeah, so I'm a fourth generation Coloradan, and I grew up in Denver. My family's still down there, and I ended up coming up to Edwards before I went to chiropractic school and thought it would be the perfect community for me to start my practice. So it's been in my mind, and I just moved here 4 years ago, and it's been the best experience I've had. I really enjoy all my friends, family, you know, they're my family. And also just the valley, its beauty, and I enjoy being in the mountains. So.
Now, as I had mentioned when I introduced the segment, that you are a chiropractor. You mentioned you moved here 4 years ago, and you have a full-fledged chiropractic business here now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a practice in the Edwards Riverwalk above Starbucks. I focus on gentle techniques, nutrition, supplementation, diet, and exercises with my patients.
But I know your passion has really created a lifestyle for you, and one that you've taught me so much about, and has actually helped me do some research to learn more about it, and that is plant-based eating. How did you get involved with it?
So I originally got involved with plant-based eating through an internship that I did at True North Health Center in Santa Rosa, California. I was there supervising 30 beds of patients for water-only fasting, and they were doing plant-based eating before
let me just
that.
clarify. Water-based fasting?
Yes.
For how many days?
7 to 40 days, doctor supervised.
And these patients that were there, they had pre-existing conditions, and they went there to try and create greater wellness for themselves, correct?
Yes, a lot of these patients were people who were told by their doctors that the medications and the diet isn't working, they're going to need to get their affairs in line, and that there wasn't anything they could do.
So no hope.
And no hope. And so they contacted the center, they come into True North. get onto a plant-based diet, they remove them from their medications, and then they fast them, reverse their heart disease and diabetes.
And as we were talking before, not only did they reverse that, but these patients were able to get off their medications as well, right?
Yeah, and all the side effects that they experienced from all those medications went away as well, and they got to live a healthy lifestyle.
Wow. That's
just through
extraordinary.
Diet. Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been in the healthcare business forever, and one could argue that since I'm on the pharmaceutical side, that, you know, maybe that isn't best for trying to create wellness. And this story makes my heart so warm for many reasons, personal reasons. But I can tell that experience you've taken on and created a lifestyle out of it since what you observed, correct?
Yeah, I got my experience from the internship, and afterwards I stayed plant-based. I just couldn't see any reason not to, and I just felt so good after eating plant-based for a full month. No cheating whatsoever, you know, didn't even have, you know, a piece of chocolate or anything. So it was like a really empowering experience to be in, you know, like feeling good, and I moved forward in my life to start, you know, like thinking about what I wanted to share with my patients. And I ended up going to a potluck and found out that the woman who started it was leaving and they needed somebody else to take over. So that is Vail Valley Plant-Based Living. And Vail Valley Plant-Based Living is the organization that has potlucks, and we have advocacy to try to promote awareness in the restaurant community and in our community about plant-based living.
Oh, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into VVPBL, Vail Valley Plant-Based Living. But before we do that, let's educate our viewers a little bit about what is plant-based eating versus vegan or any other type of diets that are out there.
Well, plant-based eating is focusing on the healthy side of eating. You know, it is vegan by nature because the animal proteins and have different end products in the digestive process that are not as healthy. The plant-based eating focuses on eating things in as whole of a state as possible. It's better.
And when you say whole state, so not raw, not cooking that much,
no,
or
actually, cooked veggies are fine. It's not necessarily that the preparation is the key to it, but the items that you add to it, like salt, oil, and sugar, would be reduced, and it would be you know, like fresh veggies as much as possible. It would be fresh fruits and abundance of them, utilizing a variety of different vegetables and fruits throughout your day, you know, to get your nutrient needs. So the focus is on, you know, just a healthy diet to fuel your body. So
when we were preparing for this episode, one of the things that I like to really keep track of in my own diet is proteins. And you and I had a very robust discussion about proteins, and I think there's a misperception out there that plant-based eating does not necessarily contain proteins. Share your philosophy on this briefly.
Well, that is one of the biggest fallacies out there, that we don't get enough protein if you're eating a vegan diet. Protein is in every food. It is in broccoli, it's in rice, it's
Legumes.
Basically everything that you eat throughout the day. It's just a matter of getting the variety. So if you have the types of proteins that are in beans and grains, and you have the proteins that are in like broccoli and kale, then that's what's going to fuel you with the protein that you need. You're not going to be nutrient deficient on a plant-based diet as long as you're conscientious enough to make sure that you're eating the healthier foods and that you are, you know, fueling up on a variety of them.
So knowing that the data suggests that you're going to get protein from vegetables, one of the tips that you told me to make sure you have a balanced diet is really thinking about the rainbow spectrum of plant-based eating. Can you help our viewers understand that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So I do typically try to, think of my diet as a rainbow. I'll have some green vegetables. I'll have, purple, white. I try to avoid the whites as much as possible. They typically don't have as much nutrient in them. But blueberries, apples, you're going through a rainbow of colors of foods that offer a variety of spectrum of phytonutrients that are important for nourishing our body.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to learn as much as we can about plant-based eating for so many different reasons. I mean, and especially the health reasons. But it also helps our communities create a different form of an economy. If people are creating farms locally. The other thing that, a lot of the vegans are out there, a lot of the celebrities that I mentioned in the introduction are around being carbon neutral. And then also, just obviously reducing the footprint of eating animals. And
yeah,
so
plant-based eating does definitely help the carbon footprint. You're not producing livestock that eat other, produce that you could have eaten.
Yeah.
You're basically going right to the source, eating the nutrients and getting the full nourishment.
So this is wonderful. So I'm just going to ask our viewers to stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Good Day Vail. We've talked about the health benefits, the community benefits, and what we'd really like to share with you in our next segment is to talk about how you can have a plant-based diet here in the Valley, in the Vail Valley. So stay tuned with me and Dr. Jen.
Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail.
Welcome back to Good Day Vail. I'm here with Dr. Jen Rathbun, and we are going to jump right into her organization called Vail Valley Plant-Based Living, VVPBL. Can you just give us a brief summary again of what that is and what the goals are of the organization?
So Vail Valley Plant-Based Living is a part of a nationwide network of pods, is what they're called, of groups of people that get together to help each other with the plant-based movement, whether it be to learn how to cook or how to, get involved in the community to try and be more grassroots to help spur the movement in your community. Or we have potlucks every month, and that's what we've been doing. We're really looking to expanding into encouraging our restaurants and helping them understand how having a more plant-based menu of things would be beneficial to them and beneficial to our community as well. Because I think a lot of people really appreciate what we do, but we get together and really share and have camaraderie.
And how do people participate? So if I wanted to come to one of your potlucks, I think you had mentioned to me you have a website.
Yeah.
And I've seen it, it's beautiful. You also have a Facebook page, right?
Yes, I have a Facebook page, and then we also I have Eventbrite meetings, so you can find us on Eventbrite as well. We have our monthly potlucks on the second Friday of every month.
And you're starting back up in January, post-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to go to your website, I can register for that potluck there.
You can get onto our mailing list there.
Okay.
Eventbrite is the place where you would RSVP. We kind of like to have a little bit of a head count so that we know how many seats to put out and how much of a recipe we need to make. But we just encourage you to bring a vegan dish that's made as naturally as possible, and the recipe as well, so that you can share it with others.
That's wonderful. I will be looking into that because I think it's a great way to meet people in the community. And you had mentioned before COVID, you had up to at least 40 people in your space in Edwards. So there's a lot of interest in this.
Yeah, typically we do have a presentation from somebody. So it's educational and, informational and also just fun. And you get to meet other people. I've had up to 40 people at the potluck. I believe it can grow. We've got plenty of room for more people, so we're looking for, more people to join us. We have a email list of 160 people just in this valley that are interested in it. So,
well, I'm sure after this episode, there will be generating quite a bit of interest from our viewers. But speaking of education, let's turn into some facts and tips that our viewers can take away. And if we could show the seasonal graph, Colorado's seasonal graph of the different products that we get from our farmers here locally. And I think the interesting thing to note is that most of the fruits and vegetables are actually in the summer months. But we do get potatoes, tomatoes, onions, and winter squash throughout the year, pretty much. Well, winter squash in the winter time. But I think it's important for us to recognize that if we want to really get involved with plant-based living and we want to engage our community farmers, that we need to think a little bit about how we might be able to freeze or can these fruits and vegetables. I have not done it yet, but I know that that's something that a lot of the experts here have been telling us that we need to do. So keep that in mind when we talk about where you can get local produce. So next tip, I think, is really talking about a study, actually, that it wasn't a study, but it was a review article that I received from Harvard, as in Harvard, the medical center. And if we could show the top 10 tips, 8 or 10 tips that they had recommended, and Jen, chime in where you think, you'd like to, it eats lots of vegetables. Enjoy vegetables as a snack with hummus, salsa, or guacamole. I think that's pretty easy for everyone. Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned the rainbow, so plenty of colors in there. Yeah. Change the way that you think about meat, using it as a garnish versus a meal. Good fats. I know my cardiologist is telling me olive oils, olives, and avocados. Eat an avocado a day and eat 8 to 10 olives as possible. I think to get in the swing of things too is, cook a vegetarian meal at least once a week and just start it and see what happens. Whole grains for breakfast, starting with oatmeal, quinoa, buckwheat or barley. Go for greens. I think if Molly Harrison, who was supposed to be with us today, had mentioned that a lot of our farmers locally have microgreens that they provide in many of our different markets here on a year-round basis. So greens are real easy. Building a meal around a salad and then eating fruit for dessert. So
it's really important to make sure that you have a variety of different nutrients, the phytonutrients, and that you're keeping a balance of the different types of macronutrients, such as proteins and fats and starches, so that you're not overdoing any one of them.
So one of the other things that you and I talked about is really kind of the shelf life of foods, which I was shocked about. So, we've talked about beans. I love making bean salad, but I leave my open bag of beans on the shelf till the next time I use them. And you told me that's not good. Help our viewers understand that.
So actually there are some different types of fungus and bacteria that would grow on it. We aren't able to see it on our foods, but it's best for you to take your beans at least and put them in the freezer for a couple weeks at least once so that it can kill off that coating if it has gotten in the manufacturing process. Another big one is peanuts. Peanuts
shocked me.
Aflatoxin. It's something that grows on peanuts that are not fresh, and it's really toxic to us. It's one of the most toxic substances you can find.
So I just have to interject to our viewers. So I was blessed with honey roasted peanuts from a friend of mine from Virginia, and they were delicious. Got them last year, opened them up, gave them out in the holidays. I have not put them back out yet, and you made me realize I can't do that because I might make them sick.
You're going to want to make sure you put them in the refrigerator after you open them, and same for the peanut butter. If you get fresh ground peanut butter or store-bought peanut butter, you're going to want to store it in the refrigerator so it doesn't degrade.
Wow, you're making me think a whole new way of how to store things. I'm going to have to buy a freezer for my garage now after this episode. So why don't we shift gears and help our viewers understand a little bit about what's available to them locally. So if there's quite a different array of options we have here. We have local farms, and maybe we can pull up the graphic for our viewers to look at some point. But Butter Crunch is a local farmer's farm that supplies, I know they supply to Hovey and Harrison, all the good stuff. I just found this out doing research for this. They have year-round delivery service here in Eagle Valley, so I'm definitely going to be looking into them for myself. And many of you probably know about Knapp Farm as well. Some of the other opportunities in the Valley are the brick and mortar, so ours Farmer Market in Avon, Village Market in Edwards, Hovey and Harrison. And even I've been hearing from our plant-based experts at City Market and Safeway are also starting to up their game on the produce. So something to think about when you're out there looking for the best produce. Our markets, we are known for our markets here in Eagle Valley, and we have them in Avon, Edwards, Vail, Minturn, and they're typically June to October. So that's where you can stock up if you're going to do any freezing or canning or to use routinely. And, last but not least, there's quite a bit of catering that's going on that are really tailoring to vegan-based and plant-based diets. I know we had a guest on from Foods of Vail, and Tracy Van Kern, and she said that she's been really kind of focused in on that as well. Mm-hmm. And I think last but not least, and I know you have a comment about restaurants, that there's a few restaurants in the Valley, but they primarily only have vegan options.
I really think that it would be good to encourage the restaurants in the Valley to, offer more vegan, healthy options for the patrons. I've had so many conversations with people that have said they have to eat and cook at home before they go out with their friends because they're not able to find anything appetizers, or they only have a selection of a portobello or just a salad and a wide variety of things that might not have as much salt, oil, or sugar for people who are really looking out for their diet. This is an athletic valley, people who really focus on their diet.
So Jen, thank you so much for that, because it's really important when people go out. So with that, I'm going to thank all of our viewers for staying with us today on Good Day Vail about plant-based eating. I'm Cece Zach, Dr. Jen, and see you next time.
Good Day